What you want, what you want, what you gonna do when the Sheriff Johnny don't come for you? All right, that was a little intro into my little video lecture. All right, kiddos. So obviously I'm not going to be here today. So I think we left off in your guys' guided notes that I passed out to you guys last week. You guys should already have the new unit guided notes for this. I think we left off here. Fourth Amendment. Obviously, we've been talking about this for the past couple of days. I gave you guys court cases on this. So again, just to reiterate, Fourth Amendment, it's our protections from illegal searches and seizures. We saw a bunch of Supreme Court cases that have dealt with this. Again, it's our right of privacy from the government. I know we talked about, things that dealt with like trash and cell phones and searches of cars, all the things that we talked about in those Supreme Court cases. So again, something called the exclusionary rule. Again, I would highlight this as well in your notes. This is a protection for us that if a search is found to be unreasonable, that the evidence would then be thrown out in trial. So this is why it's very important, as we talked about, before. It's important to ask: are you being detained? Are you free to leave? And you don't give consent to a search. Because again, if the judge finds that that the search was unreasonable, the stuff that they find could not be used against you. So anyway, kind of moving on. I think I talked a little bit about this during the cases, but before the search, there's protocols that police departments have to follow. The police must present a judge with an affidavit, basically that has facts for why they need the search warrant. So usually judges aren't just going to sign off on a search warrant unless there's a lot of probable cause. Like the police need to bring to the judge, this is why Joe Schmo, why I want the search warrant. This is what I think he's being accused of. Here's the probable cause. Here's the evidence. It needs to show in there the need, why they need the search warrant. It needs the person or place that's being searched. It needs to be very specific. So you need to be very specific on what exactly you want to search. So if that's an address of a house, put the address of a house. If you want to search the car, put the car. So you need to be very specific. And then what things are you looking for that will lead to will match up to the probable cause for the crime that you think or think is likely the person did. It'll also provide the days in which you want the search warrant to be accounted for. And again, police must knock and announce before entering the home. Some of the things that we talked about already with some of our court cases. All right, so there are some exceptions to search warrants. I know I kind of briefly talked about this, so this should be in your guys' notes. So again, if the search is a part of an arrest, the police can search the suspect and the area immediately surrounding the suspect. So for instance, the car. If you're arrested and you were in your car, the police can basically turn your car into a crime scene. That would give them the right after an arrest to search your vehicle. Not before an arrest, after the arrest. So that would be considered like the immediate area. So that's one exception where you wouldn't need a search warrant. Second thing is during stop and frisks, that if an officer thinks someone is behaving suspiciously, so this goes back to the activity that we did last week, that belt work activity, that if a police officer, has reasonable suspicion, probable cause that a crime is about to be committed because of suspicious activity, officer can pat you down for the protection. But if they find something that can be used against you. The third thing is, again, we talked about this already, when you give consent. If you give consent to a search, it's basically over. What they find is what they find. So good luck with that. The fourth thing is plain view, that if an object can be seen from where the officer is standing, they don't need a search warrant. So for instance, the cop pulls you over. You ever notice if you've ever been pulled over before, they look on your back seats, they look on the floorboards, they look on the console. If they see drug paraphernalia, if they see alcohol or they smell alcohol, they see drugs, they see a weapon, it's in plain view. They can see it. They're not like lifting things up from the outside. They're looking in, they see it, they can use that against you. They wouldn't need a warrant at that point because it gives them enough probable cause to get to do a search of your vehicle. Also, if you're in hot pursuit, police do not need to get a search warrant if they're pursuing a suspect. Other things, emergency situations. Police do not. So for talk about like if they knock on your door. This kind of goes with like the no knock cases that we talked about earlier. That there has to be a reasonable amount of time, so 15 to 20 seconds, according to what the Supreme Court said, that if they knock on the door and they're calling for somebody to open the door and they believe that that person is committing a crime, they can bust down the door if it takes longer than 20 seconds, because again, that person can flush drugs down the drain. So that again, that would be an example. Or if it's an emergency situation where the public is at risk, they wouldn't need a warrant to search somebody. Obviously, airport and border searches, they don't obviously would need a warrant for that using the airlines. What else do you guys need? Okay, now going into the Fifth Amendment, again, I think this is in your guys' notes with, oh, here we go. Miranda versus Arizona. Police are required to inform people taken into custody of their Miranda rights before questioning begins. So this is kind of the misconception. You don't need to be given your Miranda rights when the handcuffs are put on you, technically. However, your Miranda rights need to be given before the interrogation begins. So, for instance, they put your hands behind your back, they put you in the car. Technically, 9 times out of 10, they're going to read you your Miranda rights then, but there are some cases where you can't, and that might wait until you get back to the police department and you get interrogated or questioned. So as long as your Miranda rights are given before then you're good. But this all stemmed from the Miranda versus Arizona case. And really, the three main things that you get out of Miranda rights is you have the right to remain silent, anything you say can be used against you, and you have a right to a lawyer, have them present during questioning. So those are the three things that you get from Miranda. The times that you don't need to get your Miranda rights is if you're volunteering information, so like you're not arrested and you just start volunteering information, or during traffic stops, that wouldn't really apply in terms of a Miranda warning. So anyway, kind of skipping a little bit. So Fifth Amendment, Miranda rights in police interrogation. So Fifth Amendment, no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. So all that basically means that part of the Fifth Amendment, there are a few rights to this that you do not, during a trial, you don't need to go up and take the witness stand. You don't need to incriminate yourself. A big part of this is because it's the state. The state has to prove your guilt. So you don't need to go up there and give them any type of ammunition. It's their job to prove your guilt. So typically, most people plead the Fifth. Most people don't want to take the witness stand because they're afraid of like messing up. That's again a right that we have. You don't have to testify against yourself. Oops, there we go. So I said before, I remember that. Miranda rights, custodial police, interrogation. Sorry, I'm trying to get through this. All right, so anyway, we'll stop there. All right, so here's what you're going to be doing, guys. You are going to, in Google Classroom, you are going to see an assignment that looks like this. So what you're going to do is you're going to do this. You decide. This is a case. You're going to read through the scenario about what happened, and ultimately, what I want you guys to just look at: was Cameron guilty of cheating? So if you're Principal Brown and you decide Cameron's guilt of cheating or not, how would you define that? So what you're going to do is you're going to look at this sheet here. And all you're going to do is you're going to, like, from the worksheet that I gave, list the evidence for and against. You're just listing everything that you can for and against. And in this column, does this make Cameron look guilty or not guilty in this column? So this column right here that my cursor's on, you don't really need a lot for. You're just going to be just putting guilty or not guilty. Here, you're going to actually list the evidence that's within this. And there should be more than one. There should be more than two. There should be more than three. There should be more than four. So just list as many as you can from that. In the third column, what does the evidence tell you? And then 4, what weaknesses does this evidence have? So if you're Principal Brown, okay, if you have the evidence and you think it makes him look guilty, okay, well, think about from the flip side. Like, what about that evidence might be a potential weakness? Like, what are some things that you might have to that are still kind of questionable in here? So looking at the evidence all together, what can you know for certain about the case? You'll answer that here. What is still unknown? And then finally, part 3 is drawing conclusions. So, like, if you are Principal Brown, do you think Cameron is guilty or not guilty of cheating? What are your reasons? So, be prepared to defend it. What kind of evidence was more convincing? The physical evidence, the eyewitness accounts, or the confession? And are you completely convinced that Cameron cheated? If so, why? If you have any doubt, what additional evidence might have helped you in this case? So, it's all you're going to be doing for this. So, I'm going to hang up. You guys can go ahead and get started. And adios and have a good day.